Welcome to Yes and Yoga. This is the very first episode of what we like to call a mindful talk show.
Yes.
My name is David Ahern. My background is in improvisational comedy, and you are?
Adi Bachchan, and I'm a yoga and meditation teacher.
And the great thing about this union that we have here is we decided to start this show to give people a foundation of how they can create a daily practice to make their lives better. Don't you agree?
Yes, just simple things. This is something that is newer to us. We've only been practicing together for about 2 years now, and it's radically changed our lives. It's changed our home lives, it's changed us professionally and in our careers, and it's something that we wanted to be able to share with more people and kind of get it out there.
You know, when I was a young boy, I don't know if you know this, I always wanted to be a talk show host. I thought it would be The Tonight Show. As it turns out, no. It turns out close. Instead, I'm doing a talk show on mindfulness, yoga, and you are my co-host.
I know. I think it's better.
I do too.
The Tonight Show.
This is exciting, isn't it? Yeah, so what happened was a few years ago, about 4 years ago, I met this beautiful woman. I was at our comedy show, 4-day weekend, and after the show, this blonde girl comes up, because we always take pictures with the audience members, and you happen to be in the audience that night.
Yes, I was there for a birthday party with a girls' night, and so at the end they're like, do you want to take a picture with the cast? I was like, yeah, let's do it.
And so here's the thing. The interesting thing about Adi and me is that we are exactly the same size. We are the same height. We have the same size hands. We have the same size feet. So on this night, when she came walking up, she had 4-inch heels on.
Yes.
Yeah, and when you were walking up to me, instead of being 5'9", you turned into be 6'1". And so when we took the picture, she kind of bent down like this so we'd be the same height. And do you remember I looked at you and I said, you don't have to bend down. I go, you may be taller than me right now, but my personality is 6'5". Remember that?
Yes.
So,
yeah.
And that's how we met. And it wasn't until probably 2 years into our relationship when you kind of discovered...
I discovered music. I discovered mantras, which didn't grow up with mantras, didn't know what it was, and I came across the music on Spotify and just thought, oh, this is just music in a foreign language. Added it to my playlist, and for some reason one morning I just woke up. It was probably 3:30, 4 in the morning. Didn't really know what to do, and just decided, like in my head, I was like, I want to listen to those songs. So I put on my headphones, listened to them, did that, then I went back to sleep. And then the next morning, same thing happened. Woke up again. It proceeded for months.
So you would end up, for literally a couple of months, she would get up every single morning and you would sing these mantras. And I would always say, what are you doing? And you would always say,
I'm singing my songs.
I'm just singing my songs.
I said, I don't know, I sing them, and then afterwards I feel so good, you know, and then I'd go back to sleep.
And then you told me you did some research on the songs and you discovered that these mantras were linked to a type of yoga called Kundalini Yoga.
Kundalini Yoga, yes. I was actually doing what they call the Aquarian sadhana. I was doing all the Aquarian mantras for that. I wasn't doing any yoga.
Right.
And whenever I kind of discovered, I even told it, I go, baby, this is yoga.
Yeah.
I go, we don't really like yoga.
I didn't like yoga at all.
Yeah, I said, we've been to class before, and we both kind of talked about it, where it's like, yoga's good for you, but do we really want to do it?
Right, I didn't want to do it. And then finally what happened was you would get up every single morning and do this, and you said, well, would you get up with me and sing the songs with me someday? And she was getting up at 3:30 in the morning, which I don't know if you're at home.
I wasn't trying, it just happened.
Hey, 3:30 in the morning, that's the ideal time to get out of bed, 3:30. So we would get up and we would sing these mantras together.
These songs.
And then you said, why don't we try doing a little yoga?
Yes. At this point, whenever I kind of figured out, I was like, oh, I think this is a thing.
This is
Kundalini Yoga.
Right.
So I went to a Kundalini Yoga class, kind of learned about it more, and they even talked about the importance of the yoga, you know, and the benefits of the body. So this is when I go home and I say, let's do just 6 postures. 6 postures for 1 minute each. Like, who doesn't have time for that?
Yeah, and the thing is at that time, I didn't like yoga. I didn't want to do yoga, and I couldn't even sit on the floor at...
You sat in a chair.
I sat in a chair because I couldn't sit in the they call this easy pose. I couldn't sit like this.
So easy pose.
I like to call it not so easy pose. But so finally, you said just sit in the chair and do these postures.
Yes, because that's in class they told me you can even sit in a chair. So I thought, let's try it. Let's sit. So he's kind of my guinea pig. I'd go to class, learn these things, and then I'd come back home like, let's try it out.
That's right. So remember, in the future episodes, just refer to me as the guinea pig, because that's what I am. So we started doing 6 minutes a day.
Yep.
And it wasn't something I necessarily planned to do, but over time, what I realized was my life started changing. I started seeing really amazing benefits in my life. I became more productive at work.
Yes.
I became a better listener. I became
a better parent.
A better parent.
Both of us have noticed that with our children. It's one of those things where you don't want to say it, but hearing from my kids where they say, you don't yell like you used to.
Right.
And it's like, I didn't think I was a yeller, but apparently those few times did make an impact.
It
and
did.
now we're just both so much more calmer and just handling life better.
Right.
You know, they say if you don't want to change, don't do yoga or meditate.
Right.
You don't even have to know necessarily what you're doing, but as you start doing it, your body starts feeling the effects and you just start incrementally changing. And this yoga, it's known as the yoga of awareness. And that's kind of one of the biggest things is as you practice and keep going, you start becoming more aware of your own habits, your own patterns, even the ways where you're sabotaging yourself and kind of stepping in your own way. And so by practicing this more, it's almost like we're rewiring ourselves, and you almost become your own therapist with it, and you just start becoming aware of, oh my gosh, all this time I thought it was them. I thought they were the one causing the problem.
Totally.
Now I see where I was actually the one playing the part.
You know, another interesting thing about Kundalini Yoga is they call it the householder's yoga, and the reason why they call it that is because it's for people who have jobs, who have children.
Live in the real world, that don't have time to meditate all day.
Right.
You reap the rewards quicker than most forms.
You do, and you don't have to go to a mountain in the Himalayas to practice this.
No, you can do it in your house. I mean, there was times where I was meditating in my closet just because it was the only peaceful place. Because I get it, we have children, and sometimes you can't even get just a minute to yourself. So if you need to go to the bathroom, pull the door shut, lock the door.
That's right.
There's your, your sacred place.
And that's the thing. And the thing about these postures, which is so powerful, I like to call them body hacks, because it's almost the owner's manual for the human body. That if you put your body in these certain positions and you breathe in certain ways, you maximize.
It activates different systems.
That's true. And the other thing it does is it strengthens the central nervous system. That's what Kundalini
and
Yoga
puts
does.
into balance.
Totally. It balances the glandular system. And the thing is that if you ever have somebody say to you, boy, that person really got on my nerves.
Yes.
Well, what that means is you don't have as strong of a central nervous system. What happens in Kundalini Yoga is you build up your nervous system, and then things that normally might have bothered you in the past, you find, it's okay. Everything's going to be all right. A lot of times people ask me, what is the practical application?
Right.
You know what? You'll find you're in traffic, and it's bumper to bumper, you'll find, oh, well, what are you going to do? You know what? I'm in traffic.
But it's those real world things of interacting with your family, interacting just with life, because things happen, and it's how are you going to handle it? Are you going to roll with it, or is it going to upset you and disrupt the day? Right.
And the last thing is that really the only requirement is you have to do it, because you know, you can read all the books you want about lifting weights, but unless you get into the gym and you
can't buy it, you can't write a check for it, you can't pay someone else to do it for you.
You have to do it. And the thing is if you can dedicate 15 minutes a day, as little as 15 minutes. So you get up 15 minutes before your alarm, you do 6 postures, you maybe do a very, very small meditation.
It can be easy, it can be simple.
Over the course of time, you're going to see the results. It will transform your life. The interesting part about this for me is my background is in improvisational comedy, and all of improv is based on the philosophy of yes and. And what that means is in improv, it's not what I come up with, it's what we come up with together. And what you do in improvisation is you build on other people's ideas. You lift them up and you elevate them. And the fascinating part about all of this for me was that I found that yoga and improvisation, believe it or not, were very, very similar. And that's actually how we came up with the name of the show of Yes and Yoga, because it is all about elevating each other. It's all about making each other look good. And I love the philosophies of both yoga and improvisation. I think it changes your life. It changes the way you look at things. When you start to look at life like in a more positive way, when you start seeing the positivity and the possibilities of life, that's where your life starts to transform. Here's how the show's going to work. You know what? Every episode, we're going to come out. We're going to tell you kind of some of the things that are going on in our life. Not only that, we're going to have amazing guests on.
Yes, who are going to bring forth different, any topics in mindfulness, health. We're talking about, we'll have chiropractors, we'll have doctors, we'll have nutritionists. We'll have just kind of a mix of different guests to kind of bring this knowledge to you, to kind of show what's going on.
In various like areas of expertise. But here's the beautiful thing. At the second half of every episode, we're going to bring one of these amazing kriyas, which what a kriya is it's generally postures that you do in yoga.
It's a yoga set.
Yes, and there's a meditation that's going to come along with it. So at the end of every single episode, we're all going to do yoga
going to practice
together.
Yes. So that way you will get to see, you know, we've been talking about how, oh my goodness, this helped us do this, this helped us. So we're actually going to show you at the end with just short little practices that can get you going. And if you enjoy it, then you can keep going with it and keep doing it every day.
She's my favorite teacher, and I think she'll become your favorite teacher too. She does an amazing. Oh, thank you.
I know. I'm like, do you have to say that because we're together?
Pretty much, I do. That's pretty much the way it works. But we're here, so it's a completely interactive show. You can sit at home, watch us a little bit up front, and then we're going to guide you through these meditations. And here's the thing that we challenge everybody to do. If you can do one of these kriyas for 40 days, which that is the magic number in
40
Kundalini
days.
Yoga.
40 days is kind of really the first one to help anchor in the effects of it. Yep. It's great to do yoga one time or meditate one time, but really it's the consistency. That's where you see the changes.
Totally. If you do it for 40 days, that ingrains a habit in you. And once that habit starts, you're going to see that habit grows into another great habit.
Yes.
Because one good habit leads into another good habit.
Yes, and once you get started, I mean, then there's no stopping you. Then that's where people always spur. They always pick one little thing, and then from there, it sparks your curiosity.
And you'll be amazed by what happens. Like for me personally, when I started this practice, I quit drinking wine, which I used to drink wine.
Yes.
Quite a lot. She used to say I took it to an art form.
European-like.
Yes, yeah, I was very European-like, wasn't I? And then I quit drinking coffee. I also did that. I found that...
And not really trying. You weren't actively like, I need to not do this. I need to not. Just one day, you're like, I think I'm done.
I did. I found that sugar started moving out of my life. And again, it was without even really trying. And the beautiful other thing is I found that I started doing much more creative work. In the amount of time that we have done this yoga, I've had the great pleasure of writing 2 books. And up to that point, I had not written any books.
Right, right. So it really can bring out the different gifts that you have that are just in there, you know, but it's waking up the body and activating it to its full potential.
Right. That's the thing, and that's the potential that you have at home. Dedicate yourself 15 minutes every single day. And we're not promising what can happen to you, but we will say this. If you start to do yoga and you start to meditate, your life will change. So if you don't want to change, don't do yoga and don't do meditation.
So let's go ahead and do it now.
Let's do some yoga. What do you say? Here we go. We're going to do some yoga. Ong Namo, and away we go.